Hello everyone, my name is Hank Tong. I go by Tongho58. Today I'm going to review the Yongnuo YN600EX-RT flash. As you may know, the Yongnuo YN600EX-RT flash is a reverse engineer carbon copy of the original Canon 600EX-RT. Okay, at first glance, it's very hard to tell these two apart. They appear to be identical, supposedly form, fit, function, even though when we explore it further, you will see minor differences between the two units. And purpose today is to give you as much info on the differences as possible between these two units. Before we delve into that, I'd like to take a little time to talk a little bit about the Canon 600EX-RT and the Yongnuo 600EX-RT also, which is a carbon copy of. The 600EX-RT is Canon flagship flash. It is one of the very first to sport a 2.4 gigahertz transmit-receive signal for the purpose of controlling master and slave flashes. Prior to this one, everything was done optically, meaning that the communications are through pulses of light. The disadvantage of using pulses of light is that it relies on line of sight, meaning that the controller unit and the slave unit, or people use the term master and slave, the master and the slave units, or units, it's capable of control multiple units, obviously. They have to see each other. Now, if you're indoor, that is not a big problem because optically they can bounce off of walls. So if you have the slave behind you, you could still set it off. However, if you go outside or in places where there's nothing to bounce off of, the problem that you will run into is like, if the slave unit's behind the master, it will not be set off. Okay, let's compare the two flash units side by side. Okay, to start out with, let's look at the flash heads. As you can see, there are differences in between the two. The Yongnuo is on the left, Canon's on the right. And the Yongnuo seems to be a little bit darker than the Canon, but you can't really tell from looking at it from the outside. Both has the flash card for the purpose of a catch eye. You pull it out, and the wide-angle diffuser, so they appear to be identical. Put that away. As you can see here, the only differences from this view is that on the right, the Canon, it says Speedlight 600EX-RT, and the Yongnuo set Speedlight YN, which is for Yongnuo 600EX-RT. The RT with a different color, but it's obviously it was designed to look almost identical. You go to this view, they appear to be very similar. The on the left again is the Yongnuo. It has basically the same controls, same buttons and all of that. Okay, the flash shoes appear to be identical. And turn it on the side. The battery doors, let's explore that. We open up the Canon and the Yongnuo. You can't really see from the video, so you have to kind of take my word for it, unfortunately. Is if you look here around the battery door, okay, the Canon unit has a soft rubber gasket around this. The Yongnuo has a very hard rubber, so it appears identical. However, I think in a rainy condition or wet condition, the Yongnuo is not going to prevent the water from coming in very well versus the Canon. So that is not equally done. The lack of a soft rubber gasket. The position for the batteries seems to be identical. Close this. Alright, let's turn this way. Okay, from this view, you can look at these two units side by side. And you probably notice right away that the Canon has some sort of sensor over here, and this one doesn't. What this sensor is an external sensor that would measure the flash intensity, and depending on the setting, when the flash intensity reaches a certain level, it's going to get cut off. So that's how the flash is being measured. Okay, this sensor is what we used to know. If you go back a while on the older flash, there used to be a very popular term called thyristor control. And this is basically a thyristor sensor. Canon doesn't call it like that, and they just call it an external sensor. And as you can see over here, the Yongnuo does not have one. And that is a conscious decision from Yongnuo, and they decided that they are not incorporating this. If you look at the control or the available modes for the Canon Flash, you will find two modes. One is called EXTA, and the other one is called EXTM, and that's basically stands for external automatic mode and external manual mode. Now, the Yongnuo, obviously, without a sensor, does not offer those two modes. So most of us don't really use those modes. I never use them. I mostly either use manual or I use ETTL. I never use external A&M. And so Yongnuo apparently think the same way. They are betting on most people don't use the mode, so they got rid of those. So the Yongnuo does not have those two modes that we talk about. Okay, let's turn over to this side. This is where most of the external input or connections are shown. And this is the Canon unit. Okay, if you open it up, there's a rubber gasket there, and this is your 3/8 by 16 thread connection. It's very much like the bottom of your camera. So allow you to hook the flash unit up to the tripod with a 3/8 head. Similarly, over here the Yongnuo has basically identical connection. And this connection over here is allows you to, it's a power connection for an external power source. And if you have an external battery or whatever, okay, the Yongnuo has basically the same thing. So they are identical there from that aspect. Now the rubber thing here is a little bit loose. It doesn't have a very solid feel. So the Yongnuo is not as good, but you know, it's pretty loose. This one is pretty tight. But that's about the only difference. Now this is what they call a PC connection. That you can hook it up basically to the computers or some other device that has it. Okay, so they have basically the same one. Now if you go up here, here's a connection that there's a big difference. Here's it looked like you know, like a headphone jack, but it's not. This is a Canon unit, you know, for cameras that was built, I believe, before 2007. Okay, in order for you to communicate when you use it as a master, the flash. Okay, in order for this flash unit to effectively send out the signals to the slave units, it has to be physically connected to the camera through a wire. Okay, the newer units, you don't even need this. Now on the Yongnuo unit, as you can see, they do away with that completely. Instead, it has a USB port. So these two functions are completely different. The USB port here allows you to do a firmware upgrade for the Yongnuo. And Yongnuo decided that if you have a camera older than 2007 or some year like that, and I can't remember exact year, but then you can't really use the Yongnuo as the master very well for that purpose. Okay, so that's a major difference. Okay, let's explore the swiveling capability between the two units. Let's start out with the Yongnuo unit first. If you look here, it appears to be some sort of release button, but actually that is false. There's no release button there. You swivel it by just forcing it by friction, basically, like that. Now with the Canon unit, okay, you cannot move it until you push the release button. This is the actual button, and then you can do it. It locks in place. Is a little bit more positive, a lot smoother for the Canon compared to the Yongnuo. Even though the Yongnuo is fully capable of doing it, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's no release button. Same with doing this. You just use through friction. You moved it. The Canon, again, you can't move it until you push the release button, and you basically release it with the button before you can move it. And the Canon action seems to be a little bit smoother, more positive. It feels a little bit better than the Yongnuo. But and the markings are different. I don't know if you can tell. Bottom line is that there are minor differences. The Canon feels a little more solid. But As you can tell, the build quality, I would say 90% compared to the Canon. And keep in mind, this thing is 4 times cheaper. Okay, I have mounted the Yongnuo Flash unit onto a Canon camera. This happened to be a Canon 5D Mark III. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to turn on the external speedlight control feature of the camera. Hopefully you can read both screens. Now, let's explore to see how well the Yongnuo, which we know is a reversed engineered unit. So I doubt if Yongnuo gets the Canon spec the right way. So basically they are reverse engineering everything. So there may or may not be something that work or not work. So let's explore that a little bit real fast. So right now let's test the flash metering method. Right now it's set to ETTL right here, and as you can see up here is ETTL also. So, and it shows that this thing is capable of doing manual and multi. So let's go to manual. I set to manual here. This thing goes to manual, so that's pretty good. Go to multi mode, which is the strobe mode. And this thing goes to multi, so that part of it works. So let's set it back to ETTL. This is the wireless control one. Okay, so we're gonna go to the radio transmission control first. And as you can see that this one changed to radio control, so that seems to work. Let's switch over to optical control. As you can see, I tried the optical control and it keeps going back to the radio. So that shows that there's no optical control when you are using the Yongnuo as the master. Let's try, instead of doing it here, try to do it on here and see if we can switch. No, as a master, you can't use optical control. I know for a fact that the Canon 600EX-RT unit is capable of being the master for optical control. So the Yongnuo does not have that feature, at least that feature doesn't work. And actually I have multiple Yongnuo flashes, 3 of them to be exact. And none of them work, so that is a feature and not a bug for an individual unit. Okay, so no optical control as a master. Now I have, I'm not going to show you in this video, but I have tested that the Yongnuo is capable of being a slave. And it will be able to get controlled by optical means. And also it will be able to be controlled with the radio control, of course. So both modes. As a slave, no problem. As a master, it cannot do that. Obviously, it can do the radio control as a master. Okay, so let's try the zoom. Okay, right now it's on auto zoom. I'm gonna try to set to 50. So you see that one changed to 50, so that part of it worked. Reset it to auto. This one right now is first curtain, and I can switch it to to high speed sync, and as you can see that showed up there, so that part of it worked. Flash exposure and compensation, I'm going to go to +2, make it brighter. As you can see, this one also goes to that, so that works. Reset this. Okay, the flash bracketing. So I can do 3 brackets. As you can see, that showed up there, so that does work. I'm going to reset this. Right now, it is set to master, and right now it's set to channel 3, and I'm not going to change it, but it looks like you are capable of changing it. See, you can change to channel 4. I'm setting back to 3. And you can set the unit whether or not the master is firing or not. So right now, the symbol here shows that when you hit the shutter button, the on-camera flash will also flash. And if you set it over here, and then it won't flash. Okay, so that would be a silent, then it became just a controller at that point. Okay, so that is a choice, an option that you can do. So there you have it. The most important difference is like the Yongnuo cannot be used as a master for optical control. Okay, while the Canon flash unit, the 600EX-RT, is capable of doing both optical control and radio control. The Yongnuo only can do radio control. Okay, in this demonstration, I mounted a Yongnuo YN600EX-RT on camera, and I'm going to use this unit as a master. And I'm going to control 2 remote flashes. Okay, one is the Canon unit, and the other is Yongnuo unit. So basically 3 flashes together, 1 on camera as a master, 2 as a slave units of different manufacturers. Okay, so first of all, I need to set it up. So the first one that I need to set up is the on camera one. So let's quickly do that. I prefer to use the group method to control the flash, so that's what I'm going to do. So right now that helps you see it a little bit better maybe. So we have to show group ABC, and right now we have no group yet because this is the master. Okay, so I'm going to turn the Yongnuo unit up. I've set it up so that so this thing is already linked to okay, so right now I set this one to be group A. Alright? And I don't know if you see it right here, it shows that, okay, you have group A. Now, this is a good time to test and see if the on-camera control method works or not. And that doesn't really tell me that group A is connected like here, so I don't really know whether or not this is the design thing, or is that the deficiency. I should test that, but we can confirm it from here that group A over here is working. So let's try the Canon one. For the Canon, I'm going to turn it on. Okay, for the Canon, it's already linked. As you can see, the green signify the, except that this one's also Group A. I'm interested in changing that to a Group B. So I changed it to Group B right there. And as you can see, it shows here Group B. Okay, right now I have both of these units set as ETTL, while the master controller show M. You see that? Now, if I shoot this one off, what I will expect to see is like these ETTL is going to change to M, and the flash will fire. So let's test that. Okay, as you can see, it's turned to M there, and this one also turned to M. Okay, so that shows me that it actually worked. So let's shoot off another shot just to make sure that all three flash would go off, and they did. Well, of course, I didn't really set the thing very well. We don't really care about the result picture, but that's basically is the control. So the Yongnuo works equally well as a master for radio control to control another Yongnuo and a Canon seamlessly. Okay, so that's good news. So you can use them interchangeably. Next, I'm going to use a Canon as the controller and to see whether or not I'm going to be able to control the other two Yongnuos. Okay, I have mounted a Canon 600EX-RT unit, flash unit on camera. I'm going to use that as the master controller. And right now it is set to group in manual mode, 24mm on channel 3. Okay, so this is one of the Yongnuo unit. I'm turning it on. Okay, as you can see that this thing turned green, that means it's linked up, and it is Group A. You can see that the symbol there signifies that Group A is connected. Now, for this kind of radio control, each group is capable of controlling 5 separate flashes in one group. So, and it have 5 groups. So, no, I think maybe 3 in each group. It's capable of controlling a total of 15 flash units for this kind of setup, which is usually way more than you need. Okay, here's another Yongnuo. Turn on, and right now this thing is a master also. For this kind of units, you can actually you are capable of doing 2 masters, okay, that will control different groups of light. So, and we don't really want to do that. We just want to have 1 master. 2 master in a household is bad news. So we're going to change this guy to a slave. Okay, and it did. It went into a slave and is in Group B. That's what I want. So, okay, so let's look at this one. And we can verify that Group A is active, Group B is active. In this case, Group A only have 1 flash, and Group B got 1 flash. Okay, so let's see if we can set this thing up to do something. Okay, I'm gonna set off a flash. As you can see, all three of them went off together. I didn't really pay too much attention to the picture, but it looked like it kind of worked there. So, in conclusion, you can use a genuine Canon Flash to control the Yongnuos. They are totally compatible as far as radio control is concerned. Okay, with the Canon as the master, you can also set the units to optical control mode. Okay, I've tested that. For the purpose of time, I'm not going to show you that, but take my word for it. If you're using the Canon master controller, you can optically control other Canons and Yongnuos. But if you're using the Yongnuo as a master, you cannot optically control. You can radio control, but you cannot optically control the slave units. Okay, so that's one limitation of the Yongnuo that I can observe. Okay, with that, I'm gonna end this demonstration. I hope that is of great help for you. It actually helped me a lot. I get all of these things, and I only set it up to do what I wanted it to do, and I never really explored it to such level of detail like I did today. So I'm actually learning in the process, and I hope that would help you also to make your choice. In the conclusion of the Yongnuo unit, I'm fairly happy with obviously the price. It's a really good deal. And also I'm satisfied that the units are reliable. The build quality is pretty good. It's not as good as the Canon unit, but it's pretty solid. For casual use, and for example home use, I definitely would recommend that you put them to use. I actually have 3 Yongnuo units and 1 Canon unit for my portrait work at home. Now, if you are a wedding photographer and you need total reliability, that remains to be seen. I don't do that sort of thing. I haven't had any problem with the Yongnuos failing on me. Now, there are some reports that even if you turn the flash off and you don't use it for a long time, the battery get degraded. I think that's a report that we all been hearing. That might be true for the earlier units, but the units that I've got, which is very recent, basically March of 2016, there's no such problem. All of these flash units here, the battery, the last time they were charged was a month and a half ago. And all of them, the Canon and the Yongnuo, are still showing the same charge that they had when I last turned them all off. So whatever the problem Yongnuo might have had, they no longer have in terms of battery drain. Okay, so rest assured, because these work just great. With that, I thank you for your time. We'll see you in another episode. Okay, I'm going. Now we're gonna do a power test. I have the Yongnuo and the Canon set up side by side, facing a Sekonic flash meter. We're gonna measure the flash output. First, I'm gonna do the flash output for the Yongnuo. Okay, so here go. So we got f8.0 there. Okay. Okay, now I'm setting it up so that the Canon Flash is gonna fire now. Here you go. Okay, we got f7.0. Okay, and the Yongnuo is actually 8.0, so the Yongnuo puts out just a tad bit more power. Some report says that the Yongnuo doesn't put up as much power, and that apparently is not true in this test, as you can see. Next, we're gonna decrease the power to 1/64th of the power and see if the ratio is the same or not. Okay, so we are gonna test at 1/64th power. Test the Canon first. See what we get. We get 5.0 for the Canon. So now I'm going to test the same with the Yongnuo. Okay, so the test at 1/64th power with the Canon producing f5.0, I'm going to set off for the Yongnuo now. Okay, here you go. Got 6.3. So in both tests, both at 1/30th of a second and 1/64th of a second, so you can see the Yongnuo consistently outperformed the Canon. Just to be sure, I just checked the zoom power for both was set at 24mm. So there you have it. It's not a complete test. I'm not going to waste your time for that, but for a quick 2-power setting at manual, exactly the same distance. These two are side by side. You can see the setup here. The 2 flash that I have is set up like that, pointing toward the thing. So same distance, same everything. So it should be a fair test. And as you can see, the Yongnuo actually put out a little bit more power than the Canon, so the report that it puts out much less power is not true, at least for the manual mode. Now, if you test the ETTL, then it means nothing, because depending on whether or not the camera measures at a certain way. So